Welcome, dear learners, to this lecture on Anthropocene, a concept that has become central in understanding the relationship between humans and Earth. The term Anthropocene comes from Greek word anthropos, means human, and scene, meaning new, and together it signifies a new age of humans. It describes the idea that human activities has become such a powerful force that they are now reshaping the planet's geology, climate, ecosystems, and even influencing the long-term future of life on Earth. So before proceeding into the lecture, I request you please subscribe if you don't have subscribed to the channel, and like, share, and comment on the video. The Anthropocene is a proposed new geological epoch that emphasizes the profound impact humans have had on the Earth systems. The term was first coined in the year 2000 by Paul Crutzen, a Nobel Prize-winning atmospheric chemist, and Eugene Stromeyer, a biologist. They argued that human activities has become dominant force shaping the planet equal to natural, geological and climatic processes. This represents a major shift in Earth's history, marking a departure from Holocene epoch, which began roughly 11,700 years ago after the last ice age. While the Holocene was characterized by relatively climate stability that allowed humans or human civilizations to flourish, the Anthropocene signals a time when humans themselves are the key drivers of environmental and geological change. One of the key defining features of Anthropocene is that human activities itself has become geological force, capable of altering land, water, the atmosphere and ecosystems on global scale. While humans have always interacted with nature, the scale and the speed of change have accelerated dramatically since the Industrial Revolution, and even more so during the scientists call the Great Acceleration in mid-20th century. Evidences of this transformation can be seen in various proposed geological markers, also known as stratigraphic signatures. This includes the massive increase in carbon emissions and greenhouse gases, which have led to unprecedented changes in Earth's climate. Other markers are the presence of plastic, concrete, and aluminium in sediment layers and radioactive isotopes left behind by atomic bomb testing in mid-1900s. In addition, the Anthropocene is characterized by widespread biodiversity loss of species, extinctions occurring at unprecedented rates, as well as large-scale agricultural and land use changes such as monoculture farming and deforestation. Together, these features highlight how human activities are rival to the natural processes in shaping the Earth's future. Talking about the causes of Anthropocene, it is driven by several interconnected causes that trace back into the rise of industrial revolution or civilization. Industrialization played a central role, beginning with steam engine and development of factories powered by fossil fuels such as coal and later oil and natural gas. This marked the start of a dramatic shift in how humans extracted and consumed energy. Alongside this, rapid urbanization and population growth intensified pressures on natural systems, with today's global population surpassing 8 billion and many people living in densely populated megacities. Overdependence on fossil fuels remain one of the most powerful features driving climate change and environmental degradation. The agricultural revolution also contributed significantly with large-scale farming, the widespread use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, and the introduction of genetically modified crops, transforming landscapes and ecosystems. Technological developments brought plastics, synthetic chemicals, and nuclear energy, which left permanent imprints on the earth. Finally, globalization accelerated the pace of resource consumption, trade, and cultural homogenization, spreading these impacts across the entire planet. One of the most visible consequences of Anthropocene is climate change. Human activities, especially the burning of fossil fuels, have led to rising concentrations of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide in the atmosphere. These gases trap heat, causes global temperatures to rise at an unprecedented rate. The impacts of this warming are evident in more frequent and severe extreme weather events, the rapid melting of glaciers and polar ice, and the ongoing rise in global sea levels, which threaten coastal communities worldwide. Alongside climate change, we are also facing a biodiversity crisis that scientists describe as a sixth mass extinction in Earth's history. Species are disappearing at a rate of far higher than natural background levels. The main drivers include habitat loss due to deforestation and land conversion, or exploitation of species through hunting and fishing, widespread pollution, and spread of invasive species that disrupt ecosystems. Beyond climate change and biodiversity loss, the Anthropocene is also marked by major transformations in land, water, and chemical systems. Land use and soil degradation are pressing concerns as deforestation clears the vast forested areas, desertification spreads in arid regions, and intensive farming depletes soil of their natural nutrients. Our oceans too are under severe threat. Overfishing has driven many species to the brink, while coral reefs are dying due to warming waters and bleaching. Plastic pollution has reached every corner of the seas, and oceans acidification from excess carbon dioxide threatens marine life. Freshwater systems have been heavily modified as well, with large dams, river diversions over extraction of groundwater leading to depletion of aquifer and altering the natural hydrological cycle. Finally, the chemical footprint of humanity is deeply embedded in the environment. Persistent organic pollutants, plastics, and heavy metals contaminate soil, rivers, oceans, and even organisms, leaving behind a long lasting and often toxic legacy. While the term Anthropocene has gained enormous popularity in science education and public discussions, it is important to note that it has not yet been officially rectified as a geological epoch. The International Commission on Stratigraphy, or ICS, is the body responsible for defining and naming Earth's geological time periods, and it is still debating whether Anthropocene should formally be recognized. One of the key challenges in defining a global stratigraphic section and point, often called golden spike, which is a clear and measurable marker in Earth's layers that can signal the start of this new epoch. There is also a debate over when the Anthropocene should begin. Some scientists suggest an early Anthropocene starting around 8,000 years ago with the rise of agriculture. Others argue that industrial revolution of the 1800s is the proper starting point as fossil fuels use and industrial activity intensified. And the third group emphasizes the mid-20th century, known as Great Acceleration, when nuclear bomb testing, plastic production, and fossil fuel burning dramatically reshaped the planet. As of 2025, the Anthropocene remains a widely used and powerful concept, but it is not yet officially part of geological timescale. Beyond the scientific debates, the Anthropocene has also inspired a number of alternative terms that highlight different social economical dimensions of human impact on planet. One of the one of these is the Capitalocene, which emphasizes that it is not simply humanity as a whole, but especially the capitalist system of production and consumption that has driven large-scale environmental transformation. Another term is Technocene, which shifts attention to the role of technology, arguing that technological innovations and dependence have become dominant forces reshaping the nature. The Plantationocene highlights the colonial history of monoculture plantation, resource extraction, and exploitation of both land and people, showing how these patterns continue to influence today's global environment. Finally, Donna Haraway introduced the idea of Chattoolicene, which challenges human-centered thinking and instead emphasizes multi-species coexistence and symbiosis as a more sustainable way forward. One of the most profound insights of Anthropocene is how it reshapes our understanding of human-nature relationship. Traditionally, many societies and philosophies viewed humans as separate from nature, standing outside of natural systems and acting upon them. The Anthropocene challenges this perspective by showing that humans are not separate but deeply entangled with Earth's system, from the atmosphere and the climate to soil, oceans, and biodiversity. Our activities have become an influential that they now interact with and alter natural processes on a planetary scale. This realization raises important ethical questions. What responsibilities do humans as stewards of planet? How should societies manage Earth's resources in ways they are sustainable for future generations and fair to all living beings? These questions are not at heart of Anthropocene debate and call for rethinking our role in or within the Earth's community. While the Anthropocene is a powerful concept, it is not without criticism. Some scholars argue that the term tends to generalize responsibility by suggesting that all humans equally contributed to environmental crisis. In reality, industrialized nations have disproportionately driven environmental degradation through centuries of fossil fuel use, colonial resource extraction, and unsustainable consumption pattern. As the same way, many indigenous and local communities have sustained traditional ecological practices that emphasize balance, stewardship, and respect for nature. Critics therefore stress the importance of justice, equity, and accountability in how we frame the Anthropocene, recognizing who has caused the greatest damage and who has historically cared for ecosystem is essential if the concept is to lead us towards fair and effective solution for the future. Although Anthropocene highlights serious environmental crisis, it also pushes us to think about solutions and pathways forward. One important approach is sustainability and the circular economy, which aims to reduce resource extraction, minimize waste, and keep materials in use as long as possible. Equally vital is the transition to renewable energy, with solar, wind, hydro, and geothermal power offering clean alternatives to fossil fuels. Ecosystem restoration is another crucial step, whether through rebuilding landscape afforestation projects or biodiversity conservation to protect endangered species. Policy interventions at global level also play a central role, including the Paris Agreement on climate change, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and international biodiversity conventions. Finally, perhaps the most fundamental shift is cultural and ethical, moving forward from worldview of dominating nature towards one of the coexistence, respect, and stewardship. These pathways forward remind us that humans have become a geological force. We also have the capacity to reshape a more sustainable, equitable future. To wrap up the lecture, the Anthropocene represents a profound paradigm shift in Earth's history as it positions humans not just as a participant in natural system but also a geological and ecological force in their own right. This recognition raises urgent questions about responsibility, governance, and sustainability that societies must address if we are to navigate the challenges of climate change, biodiversity loss, and ecological collapse. Whether or not the Anthropocene is officially rectified as a geological epoch, the concept itself provides a powerful lens through which the understanding today's environmental crisis. More importantly, it helps us envision pathways towards the future that is not only resilient but also just and equitable for forms of life on Earth. Thank you for watching.